Okay, kia ora. My name's Gareth Cartwright. I work for the Community Energy Network, have done for about the last, I think it's 9 years. And I've changed the title of my presentation, hopefully not the intent too much. Just a quick run through about who we are, for those who don't know. I just realised we've been around for exactly 20 years and probably goes to how poor we are at celebrating our own successes that no one really realised that we've been around for 20 years. Our core message, when we started, I think there were 8 members, we've got 30 now. Our core DNA, if you like, is that all homes are warm, dry and energy efficient. And I'll acknowledge Ika here that we have grown significantly over that time through the Warmer Kiwi Homes program and its various iterations before this current version. In the last 5 years or so, we've decided to also live up to our name and see if we can support the establishment and growth of a community energy sector in New Zealand, similar, if we can, to what many of our benchmark countries have done over the last 20 years. The driver for that is resilience, especially in our rural communities. Increased resilience. We're just talking, I've got 3 members in the room, by the way. So Lee over here with Sustainability Options, Cameron in the middle here with Habitat, and Meta over there from Eco Matters, talking about how our rural communities, and we saw it with Cyclone Gabriel, how they can respond to those sorts of issues in a resilient way, take a bit more ownership, a bit more control over how they respond. And I'm going to refer to this a few times, energy equity. I don't think equity is really well understood yet in the energy sector. It's probably not well understood in most sectors in New Zealand yet. I think we need to build that understanding, build that discussion, and maybe some of what happened in Wellington this week might help. And also just to provide a space for our communities to have a discussion about how they do their own transition, not necessarily relying on top-down. We do a lot of collaboration with other networks like the Zero Waste Network and Environment Hubs Aotearoa. So we're interested in how we can support circular economy discussions, biodiversity, food sovereignty, and kaupapa Māori options. We've got 9 Māori members, and after we run a Reducing Energy Hardship conference with Ara Ake. We've just done the second one in May this year. We've got another one coming up in September next year. We picked up our first Pacifica member at that conference. So this talk is basically just a summary of a discussion that I've been having with a few other lead organisations in the sector over the last year, and they've popped up today a few times now, but rewiring is one of those. So I'm just going to go fast really through our Healthy Homes work and then really quickly through our energy sector work, and then try and tie that up into a bow at the end. So from our point of view, the Healthy Homes sector is relatively mature. We've been going for, personally, our network's been going for 20 years. We've done over 300,000 assessments just within our network. And we've probably retrofitted over 180,000 homes to varying degrees. Again, a majority of that through the Warmer Kiwi Homes program. I'd also acknowledge the Energy Hardship Expert Panel did an amazing report just before the last election. Probably terrible timing in terms of getting it out there and getting it well read. And I also acknowledge there's some green shoots in the energy sector around this type of discussion. We've been working with one of the gentailers for the last year on a pretty good energy wellbeing program. There's other gentailers working in that space too, and we've got one of our newer members is Orion, and we've got a community energy activator pilot going on with them. So my sense is they're starting to understand what our core message is in terms of how communities need to engage in this transition, albeit not well articulated about what that transition actually means. There's still some issues there. The whole of house approach isn't well understood yet. We've picked out the low-hanging fruit really well, like insulation and heat pumps. But from our point of view, the whole of house and the people in the home need to be part of that story considerably more than they are at the moment. And I've already mentioned equitable transition. I think I'll keep bringing that up. So this talk is about the advice landscape in there. So it's already complex just within that healthy home space in terms of what we try and talk about with the people when we go into their homes, talking about thermal envelope, moisture control. We probably spend more time than the commercial entities do in our space working on education. We do a lot of community workshops. One of the poorly understood, is certainly poorly financed, is around how we work with those with mental health issues, and they can be considerable, as well as the financial and the wider whānau issues that can be available. The formal education space in New Zealand is primarily taken up by the Home Performance Advisor Training Program and the Eco Design Advisor Group, which is a council-run group, highly technical and also very useful. We use them a lot through the HPA program. And I've got one member, Samaria, who's in that photo there from the Bluff. She's put together a kaupapa Māori training program called Hemi, and that's being picked up by quite a few iwi. The other key attribute in all of that is quite a bit of churn in how that education gets done. We do what we can, when we can, and how we can, but depending on the funding models that the members are engaged in, that will fluctuate year on year, and it's also politically. So just touching on community energy, this has been a very steep learning curve for us, and we've got some views about how accessible the energy sector is. And I'll acknowledge Jamie Silk here for giving me this image. But from our point of view, the definition of community energy is the project is owned and managed by the community for their own benefit. And those bubbles in blue up there, those are typically what the energy sector want to talk about. Storage, Internet of Things, renewables, networks. The bits in gold are the bits that we want to talk about. So the energy efficiency in building, that's what we're good at. And people, genuinely talking about people and how they engage with energy and how they engage with the use of their homes. Typically, that's a real struggle for the energy sector to do that really well. So perhaps that's our niche. So if you do a good community energy project, everyone in that community are literate, they can read their bills, and they understand what solar and batteries, what the value of that, what those are. They're engaged, they take some ownership of this journey, and energy hardship is taken out of that community. I've stolen this one. I've stolen a lot of this presentation. This one's come from Sam Elder, who is a GM at Orion Networks up in Canterbury. And it kind of describes the journey, if you like, for community energy projects. The one on the left, benefits of clean energy. I would argue traditionally, at least, that's kind of where the government's at. It's talking about emissions, and sort of big picture stuff. The benefits of local clean energy, that's where perhaps the networks, the 29 networks that we've got, that's where they engage. And then the one on the far right there, that's the benefits of locally owned clean energy. That's where the communities would like to engage. And that's by far the hardest one to get over the line. Our experience of the energy sector so far, it's even more complex than healthy homes in terms of trying to explain how that sector works to our communities. Even down to, and I'm sure most of us can empathise with this, reading and understanding your own bill, which is the most basic thing you can do to understand energy, most can't understand that bill. Distribution, each local network has their own approach to doing things. There are similarities, but they all do it a little bit differently. And then you've got the code and the Commerce Commission and MB. It's a complicated picture, and it's a really hard picture to present in a way that communities can work out where their space is. As I mentioned before, just acknowledging rewiring and the work that Mike and his team have done. They are clearly disruptors in this sector in New Zealand, and acknowledging Saul Griffith sitting over in the US and Australia has clearly done the same job over there as well. So this report, which of the Investing in Tomorrow report, is very compelling in terms of just get on with it and do it if you can. The finances stack up easily if you can access the capital. That's a big if. If you're in the energy hardship sector, that's very hard to achieve, and that's the nut we need to crack. So the reason of putting this together, the reason I put the abstract in, I've been talking with Mike Casey. He presented at our last conference, and I've also been talking with others like Andrew Eagles from the Green Building Council. And we're trying to reconcile how do we give advice to people in their homes and in the community hall where they've clearly got unhealthy home issues are still out there and complicated to fix, but they're also getting people knocking on their door saying, we'll give you a free solar system. And all you have to do is sign a 25-year contract, locking you in. Or they're getting another PV supplier going, we'll give you some cheap credit here. When should they do that versus when should they put more insulation in their ceiling? It's a complicated story, and at the moment, there's no clear program, there's no clear guidance there about how that advice is given. So talking to Mike and Andrew and the EDAs like Ian Scott, we need to work this out, and we need to give enough information to our advisors that are going into these homes and going into the community halls, so that they can provide a really clear message to our communities. Just a few solutions that have bubbled up in the last few months. One is, and any English in the room, they may have an opinion on this, energy performance certificates. With a healthy home's fundamental, like you've got to get that stuff right first. But if you do that, then putting a solar and battery system on there gets you up to the next level quite quickly. It's got a bit of a market flavour to that and increases the value of your rental or your house if you've got a good grade on your certificate, and vice versa if you don't. The other approach could be, and we've trialled this and it's harder than it sounds, harder than I wrote it here, is to use community energy projects to generate local revenue, whether it's retail or generation, and use that revenue locally to provide a healthy homes project that fits locally. This is my last slide. You're good. The other one is a lot of bank mortgage top-up products are around. Let's sharpen that up and make it a lot bigger, and it might need government to step into that space. And the last one, and I added this one in because I knew Marcus was coming here, is that the government should step up and do a deep retrofit program that includes energy, solar and batteries. Similar to Warmer Kiwi Homes, but probably at least 10 times bigger. Thank you.
I'll take one question for Gareth.
Thank you, Gareth. Not so much a question, but just a comment on your solution of energy performance certificates. And I very much support that, because at the moment we just don't have visibility over housing quality issues, which houses have been upgraded, which houses haven't, something that, you know, in the Energy Wellbeing Consortium we've talked about at length. So it's a real gap at the moment. So I think that's a genuine solution, even if it was rolled out slowly, you know, like when houses were sold or however you rolled it out.
Yeah, I agree, and I think there's general agreement. You know, Green Building Council, I agree with that as well. It definitely would need to be rolled out carefully. We don't have the capability or capacity to do that nationally yet in terms of the number of assessors that are out there that can hold that technical type of certification, but I think that's worth the investment too.
Okay, please join me in thanking Gareth once more.